One of the biggest milestones in fitness is hitting the 315 bench. Of course, for me it was hitting 225, and once I hit that roughly in later high school, I think maybe I was in the 10th or 11th grade. No, I was in the 10th grade. This is when I hit my 225 bench. And once I hit it, I felt great. But my next milestone, of course, was 315. And this just goes to show how long I've struggled to hit 315. I've never been intentionally trying to aim for 315 with all my workouts, targeting chest super hard. But I've been consistent in the gym that entire time from high school even till, and I still struggle to work my way up to 315. I didn't really see much change past 275, 285. I plateaued. But once I changed how I trained and how I saw nutrition and how I ate, I actually immediately saw progress and I hit 315 fairly easy. And the thing about it is, I didn't even have to touch a single barbell. My name's Chike. I've been consistent in the gym for roughly 9 years. I've been 9 years a resistance trainer. I'm a gym rat at heart, and I'm just a guy who simply wants to help other guys get fit, get strong, and build muscle. As you can see, with my experience, I've been able to build this aesthetic body. So I'm just here to go ahead, share my knowledge, and help you guys do the exact same thing. I would like to share my story of how I got to the 315 bench so that you can kind of understand ways and practical steps to build your bench press. First thing when it came down to it is I simply was not eating enough. Most of my life I only ate roughly 2 meals a day at a snack, living life on autopilot, living life not being intentional with my meals and my nutrition, simply just eating as much protein as possible and then eating what I could in my busy day-to-day life with limited resources. And it wasn't really until I went active duty military and I had my meals scheduled out for me that I was able to get 3 meals a day, get the glycogen boost and the caloric surplus that I needed on top of those 3 meals, and then realize how important nutrition was. In short, you need a bulk. And I'm not saying you need to be 6,000 calories a day kind of bulker. Simply just be intentional and be smart about it. Just eat smart and eat consistently, meaning eat 3 solid meals a day, depending on how much you need. Make sure those meals kind of leave you full at the end of each meal, and just eat 3 of that a day. Because many people like to count calories. They like to go ahead and put their food on the scale and do all these different things, but that can be kind of a hassle. If you want to do that, go ahead. But what I did is I simply just made sure that each meal I had, I was full at the end of the meal. And I did that 3 times a day. Because most of the time, it's not even about how much food you're eating per se, but it's what you're used to eating. Normally in my day-to-day life before joining military, I found myself hungry at times, but I would still eat until I was satisfied. I never was actually genuinely hungry, but I wasn't eating 3 meals a day. But that means that, okay, I was probably eating at my maintenance level. My maintenance sitting at 6 foot, 193 pounds. My daily caloric intake is roughly 2,800 calories a day, meaning that if I'm find myself satisfied every day, not overly full, I'm probably eating 2,800 or maybe a little lower, a little over that. But if I'm eating 3 meals a day and at the start of my third or second meal, I'm not even hungry, then that means that I know that I'm doing my job of eating 3 meals a day. Same with you. Ballpark your meals and then go ahead and eat a snack, roughly 400 to 500 calories. You can go ahead and get a bagel with some peanut butter on it and add some bananas on it, maybe a large pack of pistachios. But something I personally did, honestly, sometimes I ate candy or Pop-Tarts. And I'm not proud to say it because it's not the best food in the world. In fact, I didn't really have a whole lot of options, and that's why I did eat that shit. But it put me in a glycogen boost. One thing that I didn't do when I was training previously is that I didn't put my muscles in a glycogen boost. A glycogen boost is basically when you give your body and your muscles fuel and food before a workout, roughly 30 minutes to an hour prior, and then that'll aid in your muscles having more glycogen reserves for your workout. That's why you see some power lifters, they'll drink some apple juice, or you'll see some big-headed burly fuck that's about to lift a heavy weight, probably snack on some gummy bears or something like that before a workout. And that's something that I did consistently. So on top of the 3 meals a day and the 400 calorie surplus snack worth of glycogen boost that I have before my workouts, actually exponentially made my workouts more effective and intentional. But the main thing that actually genuinely got me to a 315 bench was staying the fuck away from bench pressing. Why? It's because when I was training heavy, I actually saw that my wrist was starting to hurt on the bench press. And this may be something that's common to you guys. If you're somebody who is training on bench and you do it long enough, you may find that your wrist probably kind of feels like shit a little bit. With that, I say probably train forearms. But what I did simply was stop benching. I actually switched to dumbbells. And when I was sitting at a 275 bench, I assessed my strength level with that. And I saw that I could probably roughly do at my best 95 pounds in dumbbells for 6 on a bad day on the DB press for chest. That was my strength level for DB press in reference to bench press at 275. So the solution was simple. Simply increase my strength on DB presses, and that'll equate to me building more strength on the bench press. And that's one thing people don't understand in fitness. You don't have to stick to the exact same workout. You can go and switch to a different workout if it works the same muscle group in the same or similar motion. If you want to build your squat, you don't have to hit the squat rack. You can hit leg presses, or you can hit goblet squats, or do a hack squat, or use a Smith machine. But I chose a workout that was easier for me. Why? Because my wrists basically felt fucked when I used the bench press. So I switched to DBs. I was sitting at 95 pounds, roughly 100 pounds for 6 reps. Then from that weight, I ended up roughly reaching 120 pounds, 125 pounds for 6 reps on the DB presses. So obviously common sense told me my chest got stronger. So when I picked the bench press back up, I slapped 3 plates on, I cleared it pretty easily. And that's probably the aha moment you need to kind of help you train better. Have common sense to understand that you don't need to do bench to build your bench. You can do other stuff as long as you're progressively overloading that muscle group properly in the same motion. You're gonna get stronger in that movement. Hypothetically, yes, if I had a perfect wrist and I trained bench and did all these things and just stuck to that workout, I could have probably made better progress. But with the issue with my wrist and having to take the break from bench pressing so that my wrist could heal, I would be delaying my progress if I didn't just do what I did and use the dumbbells, which was easier on my wrist. I gained better stabilization, better control of my body. And the better thing about dumbbell presses is that I was able to isolate each pec and make sure that each arm was trained equally. And that's another thing about the bench press. Sometimes that when you're benching, you don't get to train each arm equally. Sometimes your arm, a dominant arm, is taking more leverage of the weight than your other arm. You see this when people try and bench, and then when they're trying to clear a hard weight, one of their arms start to give out. But when you see the clip that I upload here and put in the video, it's almost like I had perfect stabilization and I had no problem or issue at all hitting this rep. In fact, it almost looked like I could have cleared a second rep if I wanted to. Part of strength isn't simply just building a stronger muscle and just building bigger muscles. It's also about your stabilization in your core. Using dumbbells helped me activate the stabilization muscles in my core when doing this movement. But all in all, the main thing about training is simply you do want to go heavy. And that's exactly what I did. Every time that I hit dumbbell presses, every single Monday for the past 3 months, and I worked my way up to 315, I went heavy as shit. I did 4 to 6 reps, no more than 7, no more than 8. And I always upped the weight once I cleared 6 reps. The bottom line is if you want to go for heavy compound movements and you're going for a new PR, you have to train heavy. Not to say that you can't hit an 8 to 12 rep range when it is that you're trying to build strength, because either way, you're going to get stronger. But why take the longer route? If you're trying to build strength and you're trying to build a stronger bench press, I recommend you go to a 4 to 6 rep range and maximize for strength output only. And then of course, most importantly, you have to rest, because if you're gonna send your chest to hell every single Monday, well, you gotta make sure that you give it a rest, because you can't do that on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. You wanna make sure that you probably do it once a week. And that's the importance of a schedule and having a routine and a split. It doesn't really matter what split you do, just make sure you stick to it, because if you switch it up, you're probably gonna mess up rest times for your chest and rest times for other muscle groups that you're trying to train, especially if you're going heavy. And the best thing about this too is that with dumbbells, you don't have to worry about having a spotter, because if you can't clear the weight, you can let your weights drop to the side. But if you're under a barbell, you gotta hope somebody's nearby or you're gonna decapitate yourself. And that brings me to my final point. Don't ego lift. Every time I did a weight, I made sure that it was well within my strength level and well within my ability to do it. I wasn't simply just trying weights that were big and just hoping that I could do it. I would maybe do 110 pounds, and once I've done 6 reps consistently, and every single time I've picked up 110 for the past 2 weeks, I've done 6 reps, I would go ahead and jump on 115 pounds. Make sure you can do the weight and repeat that same movement and repeat the same results before you go jumping into a higher weight. But if you have a spotter, that's always good too. But the main takeaways I want to give you is make sure that you bulk, but you bulk smart and consistently. Eating 6,000 calories a day isn't reasonable, it may be optimal if you're a professional bodybuilder, but it's not something that you're gonna do day after day if you're just a regular lifter like me. Try using dumbbells, go heavy and prioritize rest, and don't be reckless, don't be an ego lifter. If this video was valuable to you, go ahead and try watching this one if you want to learn more. Goodbye.